This comes up all the time in independent comics and in actually independent publishing in general. Why don't you go into bookstores? Why don't you go into comic book stores? And the reality of actually attempting to get into comics book stores and trying to get yourself distributed at this point is not a business winning proposition. And it makes zero sense, especially given the internet when everybody's online, everybody uses Amazon, everybody buys stuff online, and actually retail shops are dying in every sector because of that. It's a point where it's just at this level, it's just a vanity thing to try to get into comic shops or bookstores rather than anything else. I always see it in the writing community on X, like these people self-publish their own books. They put them up for consignment in their local like independent bookstore, and then they take pictures of the shelves going, "My book's in a bookstore, wow." And that's what it kind of reminds me of. Now, Student of God, who is a friend of the channel, actually posited that Rippa should go into retail. And we do have an example of a retail situation with Mitch Breitweiser and Red Rooster and the like a while back, which is a different type of retail. There's two different types. There's the comic shop end of things, and of course there's that Walmart deal that he did. But it didn't go very well over there. Like what ended up happening was these titles just sat, and it's because of the nature of mainstream comics and what mainstream comics are. What Eric July is doing with his business right now, actually developing an online platform, getting people used to going to that platform regularly and having them keep buying over and over and over again as he puts out new books almost every single month, is actually a really good business model, and he's got the momentum to do that. The reason I don't focus so much on that, even though I do have an online web store, which I promote in the videos here, and I focus more on Amazon, is my platform's not nearly as big as his. I don't have an email list of 20, 30,000 people from the original Rippaverse campaign to then go through with that. And so that's what we need to build up, and that's what we're trying to. But of course, for now, that's why I do most of my business on Amazon, because that's where most of the actual buying audience is. The buying audience is not really in comic shops, and I'll show you that in just a moment as we get into the news. Please hit the like and subscribe button. We're actually going to do math today, my friends. I'm gonna pull up a Google spreadsheet right here. We're going to do math. Yes, this is a fun content sort of thing. But before we get into that, I want you to get on my Substack, my friends. I mentioned an email list, and Substack kind of works as an email list. I have my own separate email list that's directly an email list you can also sign up for. But I like this one for especially you as comic readers, because I'm posting Flying Sparks like a page a day and just getting you reading Flying Sparks. And it's like a web comic, but directly to your email, so you get to see that, which is really cool. We've got 4 full issues up already for free, which is absurd. I've never seen anybody doing this in our spaces. It's because I believe in the stories and the characters, and I want to get these to you, and I want to get you reading. I also have exclusive comics we're posting. If you want to subscribe, it's like a Patreon sort of thing on Substack, where you can, of course, help me pay for art and the like as I go along. And I do commentary tracks for paid subscribers and more. And as it builds, we'll just keep doing more, because that's how we like to build these platforms. These online platforms are really where it's at. And actually, the more we can do digitally, like it's more about stories, and the less I have to focus on warehouses and fulfillment and the like, which is where this all goes. I don't want to focus on those sort of things. I want to focus on making comics and storytelling, and that's the awesome thing. So we've had over 1,000 people sign up since we started promoting this. I really appreciate you being here. We've got to grow this. If we can grow this to like 10,000, we will have like the craziest resurgence of online comics. It's going to be amazing. Get in here on the description below. Sign up, please. And I mentioned that I do have an online bookstore, so you can click store from there, or click store in my description. I've got all of my books. This is my Churchianity, which just came out. This is a #1 bestseller over on Amazon. Crushed it out the gate. Sold a couple thousand copies over there in the last month. I'm putting it up for pre-order here, so that when we get our copies in, we can get those out to you for people who don't like to use Amazon. And so that's kind of the thing. And I do try to provide alternative platforms to some degree, but I always get this. Like, this is the constant thing that you get in these spaces. It's like, oh, your book's on Kickstarter. I'd buy it if it wasn't on Kickstarter. Okay, cool. I've got it on Fund My Comic. They go dark, right? Everybody online loves to like do these, like, I don't want to support this platform. You should be in this platform. And you could spin your wheels going onto every platform everywhere. So whether it's Indiegogo, on Fund My Comic, I'm banned from Kickstarter and Indiegogo now. So of course that makes it a very easy choice for me of where to do my crowdfunds. I always get the like, I don't want to buy it on Amazon. It's like, well, here's the bookstore. And of course, they go quiet every time. Most of the time when people say that, they're not actually looking for a solution for that. They're looking for virtue signaling that they're not going to buy something, and they're not going to buy it anyway. And I see that also when it just comes to content creation. Oh, why are you on YouTube? You should be on Rumble. Well, I made a Rumble channel, and like, I get thousands of views here. How's my Rumble doing, right? My Rumble, it's got 80 views on a video I made yesterday, and I've got not quite 500 followers. So I don't spend a lot of time on there because there's nobody actually there. Everybody actually wants to watch on YouTube. And that's kind of the same situation we have with comics shops right now. So Student of God right here says how Rippaverse can go retail, which they could. It says offer retail exclusive compact comics. Why? Market data points to this. It does not. It does for Marvel and DC comics. And this is the main problem with the comic industry and retail in the general. Spend a year advertising to get retail comic shops on board, make phone calls. This is a nice stand below, which would be nice. Retail pre-order now window and then buzz. So yes, DC and Marvel have comics that are classics that everybody wants to buy, and they sell perennially in retail prints no matter what happens. Amazing Spider-Man, the original stuff with Stan Lee and Steve Ditko, when they reprint it, it sells thousands of copies no matter what edition it is, whether it's a compact edition, an epic collection, an omnibus, or even the Tauschen bindery. Like, do I have that here? I don't have it nearby, but a beautiful giant thing, which was a $250 deal. Everybody wants those because of what they are. There's the buzz around that brand that is on that level. Now, most of their sales, even with that, aren't really from the comic shops. They're from pre-orders and Amazon and the like, as it is. But comic shops has been their legacy thing where they promote and go all the time. Now, there's about 500 comic shops nationwide that actually carry comics on a regular basis that aren't just like specialty things at this point. It used to be 3,000. I'm told that's down to 500 by people inside the industry at this point. And that means there's only about 200 to 300 that actually really carry indies to any sort of degree. Now, in these comic shops, about 80% of what gets sold is Marvel and DC comics. Indies are 20% of any retail stuff. People don't really come in the store for indie comics, whether it's even the big ones like Ed Brubaker, even the ones that are like Conan and the like. Conan's a little different, but Ed Brubaker makes his own independent comics, or what other big names are there? Like Tony Fleeks and his current stuff that's going on right now, Farrell and the like. Those only sell a few thousand copies total in the whole market, right? And so you're even as a creator who's like got buzz within the industry, within like Marvel and DC itself, because they all work for Marvel and DC too. That's all they sell there. Now, if you're trying to go in as some other person out there, especially Eric, who's got a political brand right there, a lot of the comic shops are just going to balk at that right away because there are, believe it or not, more comic owners than not who are like, oh, we hate the conservatives, right? Which is stupid, but this is why the comic industry is like it is. So you're going to already be in an uphill battle of about 200 shops, where about 100 are not going to be even paying attention to you to begin with, and then you're going to have to like get those people to buy these. Now, there's a company called Bad Idea that does solicit and do phone calls like this, and they have big, again, creators from these companies and the like that have these sort of followings and niche followings that are through comic shops already, and they actually pretty much have backed off of that for the most part and are doing Kickstarters instead because they know they can make more money and have it directly rather than actually have to distribute. So here's the problem with all this. So if you get, let's look at this. You're going to want a distributor because you're not going to want to distribute these things yourself, and that's going to be a pain in the ass. So you have to sell $2,500 of a purchase order from retailers at least in order to get a sale. So in this point, you're going to have an uphill battle if it's a reprint because most of the people who bought ISOM #1 already bought ISOM. And so we saw that he had an omnibus. It did fairly well, and there's nothing wrong with the omnibus or anything like that. But that omnibus only did a percentage of what the ISOM books themselves did because everybody who bought them already did that. And so most of your orders are, again, just repeat buyers who are supporting you as a person. And then there's not a lot of new people because it's already something that's been a product that's been out for a long, long time. So if you're trying to sell ISOM again as a comic, it would be a problem. So the only real way to do it is not what Student of God says and do some extra edition of all this, but actually to make your own comic book that's a new comic. That's it. And so to pay for art on this, and if you want to pay for art on it, let's say it's around $250 a page per art, and we'll say it's a 22-page comic, and then there's going to be, let's say there's a let's call it a $1,000 cover. Okay, so this is your art cost right here for a 22-page comic is $6,500. And I think that's maybe on the low side for Rippaverse. Could be a little higher than that. Pro page rates for line art are about $130 a page. The colors can be anywhere from like $70 to $150 a page. Writing can be anywhere from $50 to $100 a page. So $250 is if you're being very frugal about it. Okay. And so that's it right there. Now, a comic will be about $4.99 to retailers, and but the problem is to the distributor. The distributor, it puts that in half. So you're going to have to get $2.49. So you're going to have to sell immediately to get 2,500 copies, about 1,000 copies of this book immediately. Now, remember, there's only 200, 100 shops that are actually going to be even buying these to begin with and ordering these through the online distributor. So even if you get that 1,000 copies sort of sold, you probably need a print run of 1,500 or so. So your print run's going to be, and then the printing cost is going to be this, which is probably about 30 cents per issue times, let's call 1,500, and that's that. So now your cost is this, and your total potential. So this is to the comic shops. Okay, so this is distributor cost. Now to sell to the distributor, you're going to have to give them a 50% discount, right? And so distributor discount. And so you are now going to have to do a print run of that print run cost, and then you're going to have to have this times, say, 1,000 sold, and minus this. Oops. I'm doing too many. This is not organized, but oh well. Sorry, you getting the point anyway. Minus this is profit. Now, this is a gross profit after printing. So you have $797, and you're going to have 6,500 in art. You're going to lose your shorts in this kind of environment like this. Now, say you didn't have page art, and say it even sold 1,000 copies, which it will not sell 1,000 copies if it's a variant like that that's already been printed. You still only have $800 to show. Now, even if you can get this going monthly, that's times 12, you've got about $10,000, which is about the cost of funding art for one comic book. Now, let's say you have to make retail calls to all these all the time to try to get these people buying them, right? And by the way, if you sold 1,000 of your first issue, you're going to sell 600 of your second issue, and 500 of your third issue, and probably 400 of your fourth issue as it goes along. So you have a problem there that this is not an accurate number that's actually going to happen. We're just doing this best case scenario. But say you have to call to try to get retailers to actually buy this, to build up hype, to do advertising campaigns. So let's say each call for a retailer on a monthly basis is going to be a 15-minute call, and then you have to pay somebody $20 an hour times 15-minute call times, let's call it times 150. Try 200 retailers because you're trying to get 100. They're not all going to buy. So the 200 that actually buy independent comics, that's going to cost you $1,000 a month also, which is also more than your gross profit right there. Just hiring a person on an hourly rate just to call them before you do any other advertising, which also costs money. So as you see, it just immediately loses money. Now, the reality is this is not even what you could expect a comic shop to do if you were Eric July and Rippaverse at this level. You would expect like an ISOM reprint or whatever to maybe sell 100 to 200 copies max. And with that, you're not going to be able to get distribution. And that time just calling the comic shops, getting them to order it and all that is actually going to cost more than to produce those. So it's just a vanity thing to get into comic shops at this point. It does not pencil whatsoever. Comic shops are completely dead. And the only thing that people buy there is the new Absolute Batman because they're hype about the new thing from Marvel and DC. Oh, an all new #1 X-Men again. That's the only thing that even like comics like Green Arrow we're showing do not sell in comic shops now. The B characters are dead. Comic shops are completely dead. So there's no reason to do this. There's no reason to spend time on this. Now, I mentioned Mitch Breitweiser and earlier in the video, and with them, they actually went into Walmart and did a different thing, made a deal with Walmart. Now, we saw even a year afterwards, those displays of the Red Rooster comics were sitting. Nobody was buying them. They were discounted. It didn't go anywhere. There's a reason that company didn't keep doing that after that. Walmart didn't sell, so Walmart didn't re-up the orders. So they got in there once, and who knows what they had to pay to even get those spots, because you do pay for spots in retail stores. It's not the other way around. And they lost their shorts on that, and I don't even know what's happening with them. I liked their comics. They did a pretty good job back then, but those comics are gone now. So this sort of thing is a fool's errand to even pursue. It's wasting time, it's wasting energy, it's wasting resources. And what Eric's doing, the way he's doing things right now and building up his own platform, is a far more long-term sustainable and profitable kind of thing. That's the way that indie comics actually works. And that's why there's some people really, really mad about it, because he succeeded in doing that when others are still kind of reliant on other platforms like Indiegogo and the like to even try to get their stuff sold, and they know that's a tenuous proposition at best. So there's my business thoughts on this. This is my business lesson for you guys. Eric July is actually doing it right, and he should not spend his time pursuing this kind of thing. It would only lead to a big waste of time and actually some financial losses, and it wouldn't go anywhere. And comic shops are dying. They're not some flourishing sort of thing. You're not going to make comic shops great again with your independent comics. Nobody goes into comic shops to buy independent comics, even as it is. Leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Like I said, we're trying to start different platforms and do things a little differently as well. This is my Substack. Please get on here in the description below. Sign up for Independent Comics. Read today, guys. This is where we're starting. We have an excellent independent community, and we appreciate you being here. We'll be back soon.